Hey guys, welcome everyone. My name is Vera and today I'm going to show you how to paint our wonderful painting right here. It's called Love is in the Air and we're going to do it in watercolor with a little addition of acrylic. I will be using watercolor for pretty much everything except of white. I will be using white acrylic. You're more than welcome to use white watercolor if you have a really good one, but I would probably still suggest acrylic or white ink just because it's a bit more solid and it's going to be a bit more visible. Now for the rest, you can use watercolor if you have a good set of watercolor or any set of watercolor, or you can use watered down acrylic. That will work no problem as well. So either one is fine. If you don't have watercolor but you do have acrylic, you're still okay. And you will definitely need a pencil because we're going to start with a sketch. I'm actually going to start by sharpening this pencil because it doesn't look sharp enough. Alright, let's do this. Do it. Alright, and it can be any pencil. There's no particular pencil that you have to use. HB pencil probably the best, I guess. And of course it's good to have an eraser just in case some lines don't go the way you want them to go right away, which is pretty normal. Also, we do have printable outline that you can download and print. If you're not a big fan of sketching from scratch, you can sketch the couple using the printable downloadable outline, and you can find it in the description of the video. You will see it's a Dropbox link, it's right there. Just click on it, and there are there are actually three different ways that you can transfer it to your watercolor paper. One is you can use transferring paper, but that's not what we recommend because not everyone has transferring paper in their house. Now, second one that we think is more accessible to everyone is just print it out if you have a home printer, and let's say this is your printout. Put it underneath your watercolor paper and put it over a window or some light source, maybe a window, maybe lamp or anything else. And as you can see, when the light shines through it, you can see outline here. So just take a pencil and outline it. And last way that you can do this literally doesn't require anything other than a screen and a paper. That doesn't require even a printer, is if you have let's say a laptop or a desktop or something with a fairly large screen, you can just pull this image or pull the outline that we provide on the screen and then put your watercolor paper over the screen and just outline it that way. So those are the ways that you can use the outline that we provide, and again, it's in the description of the video. But for those of you who are not afraid of sketching, we're going to be sketching together from scratch. And of course, you can modify your couple however you want. For me, I have this guy, this taller guy on my left, and I have this slightly shorter lady with long hair on my right. But again, you don't have to sketch a couple this particular way. You can have your couple however you want them. Yeah, couples come in all sizes and shapes, so you can make whatever you want with your couple. But I will be teaching my couple exactly like I made it originally. Alright, so what I'm going to start with here, oh, and guys, remember, this is a video tutorial, so it's not live, it's going to stay here forever, so if you can't do it today, it's not a problem. You can come back and do it any other day. It's going to be right here, it's not going anywhere. And after it has premiered, you're going to be able to pause it as well to give yourself as much time as you want for every single step. So don't try to keep up with my speed and pace. Go at your own pace and just make sure you give yourself as much time as you need for every step. Alright, so the first thing that I want to do here is I'm going to find where the middle of my paper is. And by the way, this is just a regular watercolor paper, nothing special. So I would say the middle is somewhere right here, and I'm going to put a little dot there. I usually do that because I like to have that as a point of reference for me personally and for teaching, because it's easier to explain the positioning when you have something to reference to. So middle is my point of reference. Now the next thing that I want to do is I want to decide how much space my couple is going to occupy on my paper. Are they going to be positioned here? Are they going to be really small with a lot of hearts on top? Are they going to be really big and, you know, taking up pretty much the majority of my paper, or how much of paper are they going to take. I'm actually gonna move my camera a little bit higher up so you can see my paper a bit better. All right, I think that's good because you can see the top and the bottom, all of it. So you're going to decide how big you want them to be or how small you want them to be. And it really is up to you because it will determine how much space you're going to have for those beautiful hearts on top. So for me personally, I think they should be taking about half, but not the lower half. They're going to start a little bit higher. They're going to start about here. So if this is my middle, I'm going to start my couple a little bit higher than that. So I'm going to put a little line right here for my couple. And now I'm going to indicate where the bottom of my couple is going to be. So again, it is entirely up to you. Just, I would say, probably don't put them too close to the bottom. Leave a bit of space for that reflection. And probably don't put them too high up because then they're going to end up being small and you're going to have too much reflection. It's just not going to look good. So yeah, just leave a bit of space for reflection. You can have less or you can have more. That is totally up to you. So I would say I'll put my couple right here. So this is the top, this is the bottom. Now I kind of know where they're going to be positioned. I zoned them out in here, and now I'm going to put one middle line. That is for me to make sure they're actually standing straight versus leaning one way or the other, and it's going to be right in between the two. So I'm going to position one vertical line coming through my middle, going down here. If you have a ruler, you're more than welcome to use it. If you don't, that's okay. And also another thing that you could actually use that I want to mention, if you have a brush, you're more than welcome to use a side of your brush as a ruler too. I mean, it doesn't have to be straight. As long as it's somewhat straight and vertical, it's good. But if it's not perfectly straight, that's okay. Alright, so it looks like a weird letter I. And now I'm going to start sketching my guy. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out where, well, where the waist is going to be. And for me, the waist is going to be, so this part is a little bit bigger than this part. So it's going to be a bit higher than the middle. So again, where is the middle of this all? I would say the middle is right here, right? Of this letter I. So the waist is going to go somewhere right here. And guys, if this all proportion thing is not your thing and you're like, just get to the sketching, and you just want me to get to the sketching, that's okay. You can just freehand it. You can just look at it and do what you think is right. That's totally fine. So this is my middle. Actually, I'm going to go even right here. All right, so this is going to be a waist, legs, and everything else. So this is probably going to be the width. And now from here, I'm going to decide where the head is going to be. I would say somewhere right here, and the head is not going to be on the side, it's going to cross towards the side too. So we're going to start with positioning a couple things, and then so heads up, they're not going to be positioned properly or properly proportioned right away, and that's okay, because when you just start, you don't know where to position where. You're mostly just guessing and hoping that you place them in the right place. But once you position everything, that's where you have a bit more points of reference to, you know, compare everything in size. Is it supposed to be this big in comparison to that? Or is this supposed to be this big in comparison to that? So right now you have nothing to compare to, so you don't know if it's the right size or not the right size. But once you position every single element, you're going to be able to look at it and see what is actually too big or too small, or, you know, too far to the left or too far to the right. So you wouldn't know that right now, and it's okay if later, once you've positioned every element, you realize that it's horribly wrong. That's perfectly normal and part of the process, and we'll fix it. That's why we start with a pencil. So I have my head, and now I'm gonna add my back here, so it's gonna be slightly arched towards the side. So I'm gonna do this. Then I'm gonna add the hand here. It's gonna go down, and then it's gonna go down and to the side. Just something like that. And then we're gonna move to pants. Gonna do the butt. The leg, I might actually need to extend this a little bit to give him a slightly longer leg. Oh yeah, let's extend it like this. This looks like a better proportion. All right, and front. And of course you can do jeans in any shape as well, because jeans come in so many shapes. There's skinny jeans, there are baggy jeans, all kinds of jeans. White bottoms, white top, skinny bottoms, all kinds of things. I'm gonna add a pocket here. All right, I think he's okay so far. Let's add our second person, and then we can make adjustments. So for my second person, I'm gonna add the head lower. So I would say maybe somewhere here, maybe even lower. No, I think this is good. And I'm gonna add a long and curly hair, but of course you can change that if you need to. This is just what my person has. Yours can have totally different hair. I'm actually going to move this hand a little lower, I think. Alright, then this is from here. I'm gonna start a skirt. It's a high waist dress, I assume. So the skirt is just gonna flow to the right, and you can make it any shape as well. And then from the same place where the bottom of the leg is, I'm gonna add the bottom of a dress. Alright, now I can erase all my unnecessary lines. So all the lines that I used at the beginning, like my straight line or any other lines, because I don't need them. I pretty much have positioned my couple. Now I'm just going to move on to finer details and just perfecting everything. So what I may change here is I may change his posture slightly. I think I'm gonna bring this in a bit. I feel better about this. Change the shape here to make the hoodie a little bit bigger, the head part, wider. So you just perfect it the way you want it. If there are particular design elements that you want to add, now's the time to add those design elements. I kind of like his pants. I'm gonna keep the pants. Great. And so the dress is supposed to be semi-transparent. So because it's supposed to be semi-transparent, I am going to add a bit of a silhouette underneath as well. So it's just going to be like this. It's going to be getting wider until around here. So this is going to be the widest point. And then it gets in, so out, in. And then we're going to add a leg here. I wouldn't, don't focus too much on the silhouette. You're not going to see as much of it, but I still like seeing a little bit of it. So I'm going to add that. There's a leg there, and there's second leg in there. Alright, and it's going to be some reflection. You don't have to sketch that at all, but if you want to, if it makes you feel better to have it sketched, then you can. Alright, so that's my couple. I don't really need to sketch anything else. And again, I'm quite happy with this. I think it's good shape for me. I'm liking the shape, so I don't think I want to change that. But if there's something that you feel like needs to be adjusted, definitely adjust that. Alrighty. And what I'm going to move on to now is many hearts. So for the hearts, the objective is you want them all to be different shapes, different sizes. You want some bigger. Oh, sorry guys, I forgot her hand. Poor lady has no hand. That's not nice. Alright, let's give her a hand. So she's gonna have a hand coming out from here somewhere, so not right at the place. A bit higher than, not right where her body starts, but a bit higher than that, because we're assuming, her shoulder is somewhere around here, right? So her head would be starting somewhere here. She's gonna go here and around. And actually, because it's so dark there, you're not going to see much of it in the end. What mostly you're going to see is this upper part and this left part. The rest is sort of going to blend in there anyway. So again, wouldn't be too, particular about that. Okay, so we have that ready. Now we're going to move to our hearts. And for our hearts, the objective is to have lots and lots of different hearts, many hearts in different shapes. Oh, actually not shapes, different sizes, same shape, heart shape, but they can be slightly different. Like it doesn't have to be a copy paste exact heart. Some can be a little, like this. Some can be a bit more like that. You see, they're a little different. They don't have to be all exactly the same unless you want them to be exactly the same, in which case go for it. But in my case, I'm not going to make them exactly the same. I'm going to make them slightly different. Again, I wouldn't intentionally go with dramatic difference, but slightly different is good. And just sketch them out, as many as you want, as long as they are different in size. That's what you want. You want them to be different in size. That's your main goal. And the angle can be different too. Some can be a bit on this angle, some can be on a different angle. Like you don't have to maintain a consistency when it comes to the angle. All right. Lots and lots of hearts. And by the way, this is just me sketching the hearts that are going to be lighter in the end. So you see I have some hearts that are going to be quite light, other hearts that are going to be dark. For example, the black ones or the ones that blend with the background, I'm not going to sketch them. I'm just going to add them once the time comes, freehand them. What I'm sketching is I'm sketching the hearts that are supposed to be lighter in color. All right, I think I'm happy with this amount, and remember there are going to be more that are filled in with different colors. They're going to be darker ones, so I think this would be really good in the end. All right, so I'm happy with the sketch. I'm gonna put my pencil aside, and guys, again, remember, if you need a bit more time, take all the time that you need. Don't rush through this, but whenever you're ready, you can put your pencil aside, and we're going to move to our painting, and we're going to use our paint. So let's go through the painting supplies now. Okay, so I will be using my watercolor paint. I have this koi set right here that I'm going to be using, and because this makes no sense, I'm going to be showing you the colors that I'll be using right here. But guys, this one is so free flow. You can use absolutely any colors of your choice. You don't even have to stick with my colors. As long as you do your sky in like a galaxy colors, it's going to turn out really well. And in addition to that, you can add any oranges, reds, pinks, honestly any colors. So just as long as you follow the same structure that I do, you can do this with absolutely any colors. But I would still suggest keeping your sky in like a galaxy color. So I would say heavy on blue with addition of anything, because as you know, you can add anything to your galaxy. All right, so another thing that you will need is water. You can't do this without water, or at least I have not seen a way to do this without water. So definitely grab some water. And as always, we recommend having at least 3 brushes, large, medium, and small. If you have more, that's great. If you have 2, that's all right too. But ideally, we always recommend having 3 brushes, large, medium, small. Large one to use for larger areas such as background, or when you need to fill in something large, let's say like this heart, for example. Medium for any elements that you can do with this one, but it takes too long to do with this one. And small one for outlines and fine details. So this one, you'll be doing a lot with this brush, the majority. Large elements with a large brush, and small detail brush for all the fine details. And as I mentioned earlier, you will also need white something. So you can use white acrylic, white ink, or if you don't have any of that, but you do have white watercolor, you can use that too. But I would probably recommend something a bit more solid, such as white acrylic or white ink. And for black, It depends. Some watercolors do have a really awesome black that you can use. If that's your case, amazing, you can do that. If that's not the case for you, you can replace black with acrylic black as well, because acrylic black is a bit more solid, so you might find it easier to work with and just, you know, give you better results. Now for the rest of the colors, again, I'll be using my watercolor, but if you don't have watercolor, you can use a watered down acrylic. Just water it down to the consistency of like juice. So it has to be super, super, super liquid. Or like coloring eggs. If you ever colored eggs, you know, for Easter with those little tablets. So you can do the consistency of that egg coloring water too. So very liquid. All right, what I'm gonna start with here is I'm actually gonna start with all the hearts that's supposed to be lighter colors. And again, it's totally up to you to decide what colors you're gonna have for those hearts. I'm gonna have a variety of colors, starting from yellow. I'm gonna have some orange, I'm gonna have some pinks, and I'm gonna have some reds. And we're just gonna keep them fairly light. So grab your palette, grab your brush. You can use large brush, you can use medium brush, whatever brush works. I think I'm gonna start with a large one, but medium probably would be the best choice brush here. And I'm gonna start with the yellow. So I'm gonna grab maybe this yellow, but any yellow will do. There's no particular yellow that you have to use. So any yellow, I will put mine, let's put it right here. Oh, oops, that's okay. I'll use orange there, they're compatible. So I'm gonna add a yellow here, then I'm gonna add orange. For orange, maybe I will add this one. It's like softer orange, so it's like orange with that's watered down with a smidge of pink in it, so it's a little softer, more peachy, not straight up orange. So I'm gonna use that one. Why not, right? But you can use any orange, or you can mix your own. You can just use a bit of orange and mix it with some pink, and it should turn out similar to that. It couldn't be a bit more vibrant, but it would be similar. Then I'm gonna go with pink. So pink, I mean, you can use absolutely any pink. I'm gonna go with this pink, but again, I'm not gonna use it as vibrant. I'm gonna use it way more watered down, so it just looks lightly pink. All right, so I put some on my palette, and another one I'm gonna use is gonna be my actual red. So this is the red I used a lot when I was making this painting originally, so I'm gonna use a little bit of that too. And again, it's not gonna be in the same, it's not gonna be as saturated. It's gonna be way less saturation, but still, I'm gonna use that color. And as you notice, it's not a red like a fire truck red. It's more like a cherry red. It has that pinker, deeper undertone. All right, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start coloring my hearts. So I'm gonna take some of this and color. You can color outside the lines too. You don't have to stay within your lines. That's okay. But make sure you don't leave any gap between your heart and the outline. So you need to go either right to the outline or a little bit further than that. So I started with half in yellow here, and then I'm gonna do half in orange. Notice I'm using lots and lots of water, just letting it do its thing. Sometimes I would even just take clean water and add it to help it merge and move and do beautiful watercolor things. And not every single heart has to be double colored. Some can be single colored, some can be more transparent, some can be more vibrant. So let's say this one I'm gonna make really vibrant, unlike the other ones. Because again, it's good to have a variety. Now I'm gonna move to some orange ones. Add a few of those. Again, some can be more vibrant, some can be super, super washed off. Some can be single color, some can be double color. So let's make a double color here. I used a little bit of my pink. All right, now what should I do with this one? Let's make it light pink, this color. Do this one, this color. I'm gonna switch my brush here. I'm gonna switch to a medium brush because I find that big brush now is a little too big for the rest of the hearts. So let's make a few of this color. Let's make another double color. Mix things up a bit. Alright. Okay, I think I'm quite happy with this. Colored in my hearts. I like the colors. I think I'm gonna move on to my couple now because those hearts I need to dry up before we can move to our background there. And of course, if you wanted to incorporate your colors, you can do teal hearts. You can use purple. You can use any color you want. This is, again, I'm just sticking close to what I originally used to, don't go too far from the original, but you're more than welcome to modify all that. Now I'm going to move on to my couple, and my couple I'm going to do in slightly different color scheme. So yes, I will still use a bit of that in skirt here, so I'm mostly going to use the pinks that I used, but it wouldn't be a mistake and it wouldn't be wrong if you bring a bit of orange and yellow into the skirt too. That will look nice, just FYI, even though I didn't originally use it, so I'm probably gonna stick with what I did originally. But you could bring all those colors into the skirt because it would make sense. Okay, and the colors that we're going to be using for our couple are going to be blues and greens and black and some of that red pink. So for blue, I have this, I'm going to use two different blues. So I have this wonderful blue that I'm definitely going to use. And that's a not very standard color, but I'll tell you how to mix it. It's basically your darkest, coldest blue that you already have. So let's say you have a phthalo blue or something similar to that that's on a greener side. So grab that and add black to it, just a little bit of black, and it's going to bring you right here. Now, if you don't have any cold greenish blue such as phthalo blue, you're going to grab the blue that you have. Let's say you only have one dark blue in your palette. That's okay. Let's say this is your dark blue that you have. You're going to mix it with the green. So let's say this is pretty standard green. So you're going to mix them, majority of blue with a little bit of green. That's going to bring it to a cold blue. And then with that cold blue, you're just going to add a smidge of black. And it's going to bring you somewhere right here. So I'm going to put this one on my palette. And again, if you don't have it, you're more than welcome to either replace it with any dark blue of your choice or mix it. And as you can see, I'm trying to put this one way more saturated. Even though I'm using more saturated, I'm still using a lot of water. Notice, like this is all water. Like it's not just straight pigment. This is all water. So lots and lots of water, just more concentrated pigment in the water. So that's my one blue. The second blue that I'm going to use is going to be any vibrant, dark-ish blue. So again, any blue of your choice that you think is going to be nice and vibrant. You can technically use every single blue here. Like as many blues as you have, you're more than welcome to use all of them. There's no particular blue that you have to do. So I think I'm going to grab this one. Why not? This looks like a good blue. So let's grab it. It's not very dark, but that's okay. I like it. Maybe I'll grab one more that's darker. Again, you're more than welcome to use all the blues that you have. You can't overdo it with the shades of blue. The more shades of blue you have, the better. Again, I'm taking pretty saturated. Still lots of water, but lots of pigment too this time. Let's grab one more blue. Which blue should I use? Tough choice. Maybe this one. Let's go with this one. This one is not ultramarine blue, but it's close to it. It's a bit on a warmer side. It's fairly dark. All right, then let's work on our cup. Oh, and green. Sorry, guys. Forgot about our green. So for green, you can use absolutely any green, but I'm going to go with something light. I'm going to grab this grass green, but any green will do if you don't have that particular one. I'm going to put it right here where I had the yellow because they're so similar. They're very compatible colors. So let's put it here. You could technically even just use straight yellow. That's totally fine too. And I'm going to refresh a bit of my red color there. My pink maybe too. Just in case, why not, right? Okay, we have that. Now we're gonna move to our couple and I'm gonna start working from lighter to darker. So I'm gonna use my medium brush and I'm gonna grab some of my green. Now it's up to you whether you want it transparent or super saturated. Either will do. And we're gonna do it all on wet so they blend. We're gonna start by adding our green on our person on the left. Then I'm gonna move to my blue and I'm gonna grab second lightest blue. So whatever is the lightest blue here, second lightest color and the lightest blue. Then I'm gonna go right here with my blue. You see, adding in, they start blending right away, and that's great. I'm gonna let them blend. I'm not gonna, control it too much. Whatever happens, happens, because I can always shape it with black and white. All right, so I added a bit of that. Now I'm gonna move to my next blue. So whatever is the next blue as far as lightness. So for me, it's this one. I'm just gonna add that. And I'm gonna color in her hand with this. So do you see I added everything on wet? And now I'm going to add my last color. So I'm going to take this dark one, and this time I'm going to add it right here, right here. A bit on the bottom of this hand, and the rest is going to go on the inner side here. All right, that's great. And now for my lady, I'm not going to add these two colors, so the two lightest I'm not going to add. I'm going to add this one, plus this two. So I'm going to start with this one, which by the way, I don't have much of, so I'm going to add a bit more. So you start with your two darkest blues, or with, if you only have one dark blue, that's okay, you can start with your dark blue. I'm going to color in the silhouette. And this upper part here. All right, then I'm going to take a bit of this darker blue, and I'm going to add it a bit into the mix here. Add it on the bottom of her hand too, and the left side of the body, all the upper part too. So you see, I'm kind of coloring it in, but not fully. I'm still wanting to see some of this other blue through. And then I'm gonna bring this dark blue right on the bottom into this reflection. And then I'm gonna add a bit of water down. So I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna add less water down. But as that's drying, I'm gonna bring a couple brush strokes right here too. It's gonna mess up your silhouette a little bit, and that's totally fine. Alright, now I'm actually gonna let it dry before I add any of my reds, because if I add them now, they're all gonna mix into purples, and I don't necessarily want that. So the only other thing that I want to do here now, before moving any further, is I'm gonna take a bit more of this dark blue. And I'm gonna add that, the not watered down version of it. maybe even further. All right, that looks good. All right, now that that's dry, well, that's drying, we can move on to our top, because for me this is already pretty dry, so I can work on my sky there. And you're just gonna use honestly any colors you want, but I'm gonna use a variety of blues. I'm gonna use almost like every single blue. I'm not even gonna, you know, think too much about this. I'm just gonna grab all those beautiful blues. I'm gonna grab some purple, and I'm gonna grab a few reds. I'm still gonna avoid those fire truck reds or those orangey reds, so I'm gonna stay on the pinker side, so somewhere right here. So yeah, I'm gonna use all those beautiful colors, and I will probably avoid the super bright ones, bright blues as well, especially the teal looking one, maybe not, but I wouldn't avoid just regular lighter blue, that's fine. Just probably wouldn't go as far as teal. So that's what I'm gonna use here. And I will be using these two darker ones as well. So let's just put them all on my palette here. And you can use large brush. Large brush is fine, medium brush is fine, whatever works better for you. Small brush, you go away, it's not your turn yet. So I'm gonna start with refreshing my reds here. I'm gonna add some, I will actually remove these two colors, I don't want them. Let's free up some space here. So let's add some purple. Let's add my blues. All right, yeah, let's add a few more blues here. All right, and now we're just going to start coloring in our background. You just have to be careful around your hearts. So I'm going to start, let's start from the top and work our way to the bottom, but it doesn't really matter. So let's start at the top. For me, I'm going to use my bluer colors here, then I'm going to use purple, then pinks. But again, that's just my order. Yours doesn't have to be exactly the same. You want to do all your background on wet as well. So I would say don't take any breaks just yet, and use whichever brush you think is the most convenient for you. If it's hard for you to maneuver around your hearts with a large brush, medium brush would be a better choice for you. But if you can still work with a large brush, that's okay, you can do a large one too. Again, whatever works. You see, sometimes I would even just refill my brush with different colors to add a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'll just add, you see I'm refilling it with some purple here. It has that multicolor look. Here I can start even using pinks at this point. You see, because I don't really wash my brush, it all turns into like a purple, and I'm okay with that for this particular section. And then I'm gonna just take some water and spread it a bit here into like a messy something. Let's go on the top. Splatter a little while I'm still with this color. You know what, I think I'm gonna switch to my medium brush here. Let's add some more blues. So I'm gonna take a bit more lighter blue. Let's extend it here. And you see, it's a bit messy around my hearts, and I'm okay with it. I'm gonna clean it all up with black. Because if I go, you know, perfectly precise, I'm not gonna be able to do it before it all dries up. So I'm okay to sacrifice the shape a little bit here to make sure I do it all on wet. So splatter, 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 splatter. Maybe some water just to wash it a bit into a background in a couple spots. Definitely more purple. All right. Right, and here I'm gonna start going a bit heavier on my pinks and reds. and purples. Alright, so I'm gonna make a messy edge here. Then I'm gonna splatter a bit with both pink and purple there. Great, 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 great. Okay, let's add a bit of more red here. Go quite heavy and quite saturated with the red. And then as you go to the edge here, I will do the same thing. I will make that a messy edge, but also I'm gonna add a few hearts in red. I'm gonna take that saturated red, whichever one you wanted, whichever one you're using. I'll make a couple hearts in that too. Do you see this sort of merging into background, but you can also tell that they're hearts. So you can tell the shape even though they're partially merged into background. And you can have as many of those as you want. All right. And now I'm gonna grab a little bit of this pink or red or both. And I'm gonna add it onto this beautiful skirt. You see I did add a bit more solid, more visible on the edge, and then I was adding less and less and less as I go down. All right, I will be adding second layer onto my background because this is great, but it's not enough. I do want to have a bit more going on there, but I do have to wait until this dries before I can continue doing that. But as I wait for it to dry, I could start working on my couple and I could start introducing black. So I could just take straight black, and you can use either small brush or medium brush, but make sure your couple is dry-ish, like ideally fully dry, but at least almost dry is good. I'm just going to take straight black here. So my watercolor has a pretty decent black, so I can use my watercolor, but if yours doesn't have to, I know not every watercolor does that. If yours doesn't, you're more than welcome to use watered down acrylic. And I'm gonna almost like shade it. So I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna add a bit of darkness here too. And once you add it, you can wash off your brush, dab it off on a paper towel, and with a clean, slightly wet brush, you can spread it a bit and soften it up. So his shirt, her sleeve. details on the pants. If you guys want to, you're more than welcome to use a pen for this instead. If using, yeah, it will look slightly different because it's not going to be water, you know, it's not going to be washed in and watercolory, but you can use the pen for the outline if you prefer that. If you don't have a good brush or you're just not comfortable doing this with your brush, you're more than welcome to use a pen or a fine tip Sharpie. So you see he's starting to really take shape. So I have the guy. Now I'm gonna add my lady. In my case, the person on my right is a lady. So I will add her. I will start by adding a couple flicks here. A couple extra lines there. You can add a little bit of black to the silhouette, but don't overdo this. And definitely a little bit of black onto the hair as well. All right. And I'm gonna take some black and I'm gonna add this on this reflection too. You're gonna darken out the legs and then you merge them into this little reflective path. Alright, and again, we have to wait until they dry. We can't really do anything there until they dry, but I'm gonna move on to second layer here because it's pretty dry at this point, or at least it's dry enough for me. So I'm just gonna add in a certain area. So for example, in the middle here, I'm gonna add a second layer to make it more vibrant and to make it darker and more layered as well. So again, you're just gonna grab any shades of your blue, purple, pink, so the same pretty much colors. You're not going with a whole new color palette, you're just adding a bit more of what you already have going on. And you don't have to do full coverage this time because you already have full coverage. In the first layer you can have it more like a spot here, a spot there, but also if you feel like you don't have enough, you could do a full coverage too. So you see I'm just taking my colors and I'm just adding them, almost like filling it in a bit here and there to darken it up, to make it more interesting. All right, do you see it's a bit more full and I like that. And I'm also gonna wash off my medium brush and I'll take my large brush for a second and I'm gonna add a bit more of like a medium light blue somewhere around here, just a touch. See, again, super lightly watered down, just to add there a bit of a background on both sides. I'm gonna pick a bit on this side too, and of course you can do a bit of splatter too. All right, awesome. And after that, we're gonna move to our black. So I'm gonna go back to my medium brush, but you're more than welcome to use small brush too. It really is up to you. My medium brush, as you can see, has a really nice pointy tip, so I'm very comfortable doing fine details with it. If yours doesn't, small brush may be a better choice here. And then I'm gonna take some of that solid black and I'm gonna start adding a partial outline. So it's not going to be a full-on outline. It's more like a flick here, flick there. And some areas can be darker outlined and more visible, and some areas can be barely outlined or not even outlined at all. You don't have to add it to every single heart as well. I'm going a bit heavier on the hearts that are closer to this like a middle part, and I'm gonna either completely avoid or go a little lighter on all the other hearts. This one I'll add, the rest I'll just leave them. Maybe this one I'll partially outline. Alright, so do you see I did a bit of outline and now I'm actually going to add black hearts. So I'm going to add in between a few hearts just straight in black because I don't have any right now. Alright, I think this is enough for me, and after that you can even merge some of your black. So I'm just taking some water and I'm kind of merging some of my black in between the hearts that are close to one another to create a bit of, to make it look a little more solid, I guess. This is not super necessary. Alright, now I have to wait until all of this dries and then I'm gonna go over it with white. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna pause this video because this is gonna take maybe a good 5-10 minutes to dry, and I don't want you guys to just, you know, be staring at me doing nothing for that long. So I'm going to pause my video, I'm gonna let it dry up a little bit, and then I'm gonna resume it and I'm going to add white, and to you it's going to feel like this. It's going to be literally just 1 second. So I would say do the same. Pause the video, give yourself enough time for your painting to dry, and then whenever it is dry, then come back and we're going to add white highlights, and that's what's going to really make it look good. I'll see you guys in a second. Alright guys, I am back and my painting is pretty dry. It's not fully dry, but it's getting there, and it's definitely dry enough for me to continue. So I'm going to put aside those brushes, and I am going to use acrylic brushes. Actually, I don't like using the same brushes for watercolor and acrylic because then it ruins my watercolor brushes, and I would prefer to keep my watercolor brushes in a good shape. So I'm going to, if I can find my small brush, I mean, I will eventually find my small brush. Alright, I'll put them aside for now, and I'm going to grab my acrylic small brush, and I'll grab one acrylic large brush as well for the splatter. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start with fine details, and then I'm going to add lots and lots of wonderful splatter in white. So I took some white acrylic, I put it right here. And I'm going to take some of it on my brush. If it needs to be, if it's a bit too thick, if it naturally comes a bit too thick for you, water it down, because it's really hard to make fine lines with thick paint, so make sure it's nice and liquid. And I'm going to start by, actually here you can even use, you can water it down so it's a little more transparent as well. Just for the step, you can just lightly add a bit of highlight here, and you can do it with a more transparent paint, you see, so it looks layered and a little more blended. And I'm going to continue using a bit of a transparent paint here, so it don't look too white, and then I will add super white later. So we'll just start with a bit of transparency, and to achieve that transparency you just have to water it down a bit more. The more you water down your white acrylic, the more transparent it's going to look, or if you use white watercolor, it will naturally give you that transparency. I'm going to add some to the hair. See, start really shaping it. We'll add some right here. On the outside of his sweater. All right here. Anywhere where you want to add a little detail. And then I'm going to add nice long lines in that watered down white on the skirt. Alright, and now I will be using a straight white. So again, if you need to water it down, but just a little bit to make it more liquid, so it's nice and liquid for you to work with, but do not make it transparent. Don't overwater it. Or if it comes naturally liquid enough for you to work with, then you don't need to water it down at all. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of that because this is more like an accent color. All right. And again, a few of those white lines from the bottom up here. All right, and you can always add a bit of white here too, just to have the silhouette a bit more, to pop a bit more over the background. All right, nice, nice, nice. Now I'm gonna go around my hearts, and on the hearts that are in color, I'm just gonna add a little glare. Sometimes it's gonna look like almost like a little inner outline, and some is just gonna look like a flick or dot or two. You can even add a couple. They're not there yet, so you can add a couple hearts from scratch if you wanted to. And then I'm gonna add some shooting stars. So just like a little flicks. Because it's a galaxy sky, right? And then I'm gonna add lots and lots of splatter. So I'm gonna switch my brush for this. I'm gonna grab a large brush, and I'm gonna start with a large splatter. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna dip it in the water, then I'm gonna water down my white so it's nice and very liquid, and I'm gonna grab a brush full of it. And I'm just gonna do this. And you'll see it's gonna fly like a larger splatter. Make sure your white is watered down. If it's too thick, it's gonna fly like a blob. And I'm gonna try not to get too much onto my couple. You can even, you know, cover them up with something. Once I have a bit of that large splatter, I'm gonna do a bit of a smaller splatter. So this time, so the same thing, you're gonna grab your watered down white, you're gonna grab brushful, and now you're gonna do this. You're gonna hold either brush or pencil, doesn't matter, something solid. At about, I usually do about 1 inch from the paper, and you're gonna do this. You see it gives you a different kind of splatter. This one is more like a fireworky splatter, and we're gonna try to add majority of it over our sky, so you don't want to get too much of it on your hearts either. Some of it will get on the heart, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I just say don't aim specifically on the hearts. Aim to have most of it on your sky. And whatever gets on the hearts gets on the hearts. Again, if some of it gets on your people, it's not a bad thing, but I wouldn't intentionally go right over them. Alright, and that's pretty much it. After that, you are officially done. You can go ahead and you can sign it with your name or your initials or anything else that you would like. And if you feel like something is still missing, you're more than welcome to continue adding. If you feel like you could use another couple hearts somewhere, or even heart inside the heart, go for it. If you want to put names in the hearts, totally fine. You could technically make this into a whole family. It doesn't have to be just a couple. You can add, you know, a few little people here and there. And you can add names of your whole family. It's totally up to you. Make this painting your own. Don't limit yourself at this. And yeah, another thing too, guys, if you feel like you want to add some fine details, but you can do this with a brush, grab a fine tip Sharpie or just regular Sharpie, and you can add all the outlines to your hearts. You can add, you know, a lot of fun elements with Sharpies because they have such a nice little fun fine tip, especially if you use fine tip Sharpies like this. Let me show you one if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Like something like that, you can add as addition. It will be really, really cool. And that's pretty much it, guys. I'm gonna sign mine. I'm gonna sign it with my fine tip Sharpie. Why not, right? I already have it here. I will sign mine right here. And guys, after you're done, feel free to share your results with us. We will love see how your paintings turned out. We always do. This is like one of our favorite parts, is to see what happened, how they turned out. Do they look good? So feel free to share that with us. That will make us very happy. And there's a link in the description of this video. There are actually 2 groups where you can share it. You can share it in a group that's specifically dedicated to watercolor that we have on Facebook, or you can group that we encourage everyone to share regardless of the medium. So it really is up to you which group you would like to share. You can share in both groups. We'd love that too. And if you guys enjoyed this and you just loved it, you have a great time, you had a great time, you have a great result, and you would like to say thank you, you can always tip me by using a PayPal link, and it's in the description of the video. Tips are always, always, always appreciated, and they help us to make more videos like this for you. And if you're short on cash, but you still really want to say thank you, you can always just share this video with a friend, leave a nice comment, or put a like. We appreciate those too very much so. And of course, feel free to tune in next time. We have lots more coming up. And if you're new to our channel, check out videos that we already have here. We have a very, very large selection of watercolor, acrylic, and drawings. So feel free to choose a few and give them a go. And that's pretty much it for today, guys. I will see you all next time. Bye.